Everyone, Aisha here. So today I want to talk about the topic, the courage to be bold. So last week I had actually did a teaching on boldness and the importance of being bold as a single mom. And I shared, I think it was 4 different reasons why you needed to be bold as a single mom. And so definitely encourage you to watch that video. I will link to that original video and consider this a part 2. And so I wanted to share, like I said, 4 more reasons for why you needed to be bold as a single mom, because I think that um, we can have a tendency to shrink back, right? After experiencing an unplanned pregnancy. And so it can be difficult, right? And so for me, I know when I became a single mom, actually, when I became pregnant, I really shrunk back. I was afraid. I hid a lot. One of the things that I share in the book, Navigating the Impossible, a Survival Guide for Single Moms from Pregnancy Through the First Year of Motherhood, and this book is available on Amazon. One of the things that I said in that book is I quoted a Mariah Carey lyric, and I said, I painted on a smile with lipstick, putting on a big charade. It's kind of hard to keep pretending. It's getting harder every day, right? I hid. Not only did I hide my emotions, I tried to hide what I was feeling. I just tried to keep on pressing on. I tried to pretend like everything was okay. And that became very draining to me, because instead of healing, right, I hid. I hid how I felt, right? And after a while of hiding, um, you just lose yourself. And that's exactly what happened to me. I lost myself. I did not know who I was anymore. And I was just struggling at that point to be able to move forward. And so I was the opposite of bold, right? I hid. I stopped working in my business, and it impacted my finances. I hid from people. I remember there was one day where I was taking my kids to go get some ice cream, and I was really just struggling. Like, I did not take care of myself. I was wearing dirty clothes. My hair was messy. I had gained a whole bunch of weight. I looked super frumpy, and I used to literally hide to go into the store. I'm like, I would be like, please don't let me run into anybody I know. Please don't let me run into anybody I know. Please don't let me run into anybody I know. Because hiding became my new normal. And over time, I became so comfortable hiding. I had to literally relearn what it was like to show up and be confident, because I didn't know, because I was so used to being into hiding. And so becoming a single mom, especially after an unplanned pregnancy, can be very hard. It can be very challenging, because you're faced with a bunch of new responsibilities, emotions, and things are just uncertain. You don't necessarily know how you're going to move forward. And even if you have great plans, you still don't know how those plans are going to show up, right? You don't know what it's going to be like in terms of your support system, how you're going to be received, how people are going to treat you, what your friend's situation is going to be like. And so it's possible and totally normal and so completely understandable if you're feeling overwhelmed, lost, or scared, right? Because in the middle of these challenges, you still have opportunities for growth. You still can show up and you still can be bold, right? And so you really need to learn boldness in your single motherhood journey. And so the first reason why you need boldness is you need the boldness to be able, and like I said, this is a part 2. So you need boldness to embrace change. And so even if you had carefully laid out plans, even if you had everything set in order, your 5-year plan, your 10-year plans, your 1-year plans, right? It can throw everything into disarray. And so boldness allows you to be able to adapt, step outside of your comfort zone, and rewrite your narrative, right? And so boldness gives you the confidence to be able to leave behind what was, to embrace what is to come and what is now. And so you need boldness to be able to face the unknown, the flexibility to be able to bend and not break, be adaptable, and yet still have the resilience to rebuild your life on a different foundation, to rebuild your new normal, right? That takes boldness. That takes courage, right? That takes a lot of courage. And so the second thing is boldness to prioritize yourself. And so in single motherhood, it often means putting your child's needs first. You have to. Your children are your first ministry. You have to. Your children they can't take care of themselves. So you have to put their needs first. But it can come at a balance, right? Because sometimes it gets to the point where you're neglecting your own. And that's when things get dangerous. Because when you begin to neglect your own physical and your own mental well-being, it makes it more difficult to care for your child effectively. And I actually, I think I made a video about that, but I know I talked about this in a book where I said that it was when I actually had a health scare, which taught me that taking care of me and loving me meant that I was loving my children, because I wasn't taking care of myself. I was so committed to putting my kids' needs first that when they were toddlers and when they were like infants and they were eating baby food, I would buy like fruits and vegetables from the grocery store, like whole fruits and vegetables from the produce section. And I would literally process it down into baby food, taking hours. And so I would be in that kitchen cooking baby food and pureeing it and everything to the point where my feet and my back would hurt. Like that's how long I would be in there working to make homemade organic baby food for my kids, because I thought that that was the best for them, and I just wanted the best for them, so I was going to make homemade baby food for them. But the problem is that I was not prioritizing my own well-being. And so while they were doing that, I would grab junk food. Like I would grab some chips. I would, grab a chocolate chip cookie or something. And I would eat that. I wasn't sleeping because at the same time, because they were infants, they were less than a year old when they began eating baby food. And so I was still breastfeeding, and I was struggling with breastfeeding. I made a whole video about that, like what to do if you're struggling with breastfeeding. And so definitely check it out. So I wouldn't really sleep. I would just want to continue to pump and just get whatever I could out. And so I was not prioritizing myself. I at the time was not in therapy, and I was just masking how I felt. And I've mentioned this before in multiple different videos, but I have a video dedicated to this where I talk about how I ended up just struggling with suicidal ideation. I was so broken mentally, physically, and I was exhausted, and I just did not feel good about myself anymore. And so I had to learn what it meant to prioritize myself. I remember one of my life coaches, she actually advised me to take time, like every month or once a quarter, and do something just for me. Like find something that I loved. Maybe it was something I used to love in the past, but haven't had a chance to do. But whatever it was, do something to be able to prioritize me. Find time for an activity that I enjoy. Like I just mentioned, therapy, getting that mental and emotional support that you need, building up that support system as you're able to, and that, as you're able to vet people, to be able to allow yourself to be able to have that break so that you can prioritize yourself. Because like I said before, loving you means loving your children. And it's very difficult to show up the way you need to when you're emotionally depleted, physically depleted, and when you're not loving yourself. Because if you cannot love yourself, how can you effectively love someone else? And so you have to have the boldness to be able to prioritize yourself. Number 3, sorry, these are 5 here. So the boldness to be able to set boundaries. And so as a single mom, you might face a lot of unsolicited advice. And I made a video as well about whose advice should you listen to, right? And I also made another video about how to move forward when your life is interrupted. And in both of those videos, I talk about whose advice did you listen to. And so you probably will face unsolicited advice. So be discerning on who you listen to and who you don't. You might face judgmental stares, intrusive questions. I remember I wrote a whole blog post on this, and like inappropriate questions I used to get, like totally ridiculous questions that I used to get. And I'm just like, my goodness, why are you asking if I have child support? Like, why do you care? Why is that any of your concern? Like, this is random, right? And so you have to have the boldness to be able to know how to respond when people ask ridiculous, inappropriate questions. And you have to have boundaries set in place about what you will allow people to do, what you will not allow people to do. and you have to protect your child, like their space and their privacy, and it can be intimidating, right? Because you might not know how to answer some of these questions. You might feel like you have to respond to every question. You might not know how to have boundaries. But being bold just means that you're asserting yourself respectfully, saying no when necessary, and you're surrounding yourself with supportive people who respect your decisions. I know for me, like, there are certain medical things that I've had to have the boldness to say, I'm not doing this, right? And stand by that decision. And that takes boldness. Number 4, the boldness to be able to seek support. Man, I was literally just having a conversation with a friend of mine today, and we were talking about how she's married now. But one of the things that she was saying to me is that she sometimes still has to battle with, because she was a single mom for so long before she got married. She was used to doing everything by herself. And so she was saying that she's having to learn how to allow help. She's having to learn how to not be so independent, not because she can't, but she doesn't have to be. And this is why it takes boldness to be able to seek support, because you don't have to go through this journey alone. Sometimes when we go through hard things, when we go through betrayal, when someone walks out, when we become a single mom, when promises are broken and people who say they're going to be there aren't, when everything is on you, sometimes it's hard to want to accept support, let alone ask for it. But, and I remember, and again, I share this in the book. I talk about building a support system, and in this book, I talk about an example of somebody I know who she shouted out her mom on social media about how her mom came over to help her with laundry. And her mom wanted to. Her mom wanted to come over and help. And so somebody left a nasty comment under that post saying that she was a burden and she needed to take care of her own kids and don't start burdening her mom. It was just like, it was a bunch of ridiculousness, right? And it really reinforced the reason why so many people don't ask for help, because they're afraid of being a burden, or they're afraid of looking weak, or they're afraid of looking like they can't handle it. But we have to understand that reaching out is not a sign of weakness. And I said this in a video that I made about how to move forward when your life gets interrupted, right? And one of the things that I talk about is allowing the people who God has assigned to you to help you, allow them to help. But also be discerning to know who is for you and who is not for you, who was sent by God and who was on an evil assignment. Like, you have to be able to understand the difference. And so but one of the first things that you have to understand is, and I also, like I said, made a video about some of the reasons why people don't ask for support, and it can be based on trauma. And so it's not, you have to understand that asking for support is not a sign of weakness. It's really a testament to your strength and resourcefulness, because you're recognizing you can't do it on your own. You're prioritizing your physical and emotional, your health, and you're allowing other people to come alongside of you. So building a supportive network of friends, family members, therapists, online communities, Bible studies, all of these things can provide you with invaluable support. And so being bold means letting go of that pride, seeking the help that you need, and building a village that allows you and your child to thrive. And the last thing, number 5, is the boldness to be able to dream big. And this takes boldness, right? Because I remember when I feel like I lost my dreams, right? And I was literally afraid to start dreaming again. I was afraid to start thinking big again, because I had believed in my own limitations for so long that I was afraid to allow myself to think that better was possible. And so the unplanned pregnancy might have disrupted your life plan, but it doesn't mean that your dreams are no longer valued. Just because someone told you couldn't do it because of your single mom, it doesn't make that their opinion accurate. It's just their opinion. And it's really a reflection of how they feel about you and not about themselves and not you. But being bold means holding on to your aspirations, adapting them, right? Because sometimes they're going to look different than what you originally thought that they were going to look like. But you have to be bold to believe that you can achieve your dreams. You have to be bold to believe that nothing is impossible. You have to be bold to set ambitious goals. And you have to be bold in going after your dreams, because that shows your children that it's possible. It takes courage to be able to dream again. And I made a whole video on that as well. Um, Hopefully I remember all of these videos that I made so I can link to them in the description so you can go back and start listening to some of these things. But yeah, I did make a video called Single Mom, You Do Have a Plan and a Purpose. I think that's what it's called. But I talk about that, about how I gave up on my dreams and how I found them again, and how if you're dealing with um, struggling with to hold on to your dreams, what you can do to find them again. And so I want you to remember that the journey of single motherhood after unplanned pregnancy is truly unique to each person. My journey is not going to be your journey. Your journey is not going to be the next person's journey, right? Everybody's journey is unique, but there are certain things, that we can empathize with each other on, right? But I want you to understand that your journey is your journey. So embrace your own pace, celebrate your small victories. Don't be afraid to ask for help. Growing in boldness isn't about becoming fearless, right? Right? And we have to understand that fear is actually not of God. Fear is an evil spirit, because we see in First Timothy, the Lord, through Paul, Scripture says the Lord has not given us a spirit of fear, but of power and love and sound mind. So you really have to. It does not mean that you're going to totally have all the confidence in the world. Your confidence is going to come from Christ, right? But you have to remember that you overcome by the blood of the Lamb and by the words of his testimony. So through Christ, nothing is impossible, right? It still doesn't mean that there won't be uncertain moments, right? But it's about making calculated risks. It's about prioritizing your well-being. It's about believing in Christ and knowing that through Christ you can do all things. And um, know that you're going to be okay. Trust that you're going to be okay. And so it's okay to move forward. It's okay to be bold. It's okay to have the courage to prioritize yourself. It's okay to embrace change. It's okay to seek support. It's okay to dream big, because with God, all things are possible. And so, and give yourself grace. Give yourself grace. This is a journey and not a destination. And so I want to encourage you to grab a copy of the book, Navigating the Impossible, a survival guide for single moms from pregnancy through the first year of motherhood. It is available on Amazon, and it's such a wealth of information, such a wealth of information, and how to move forward after unplanned pregnancy. So the book, the description, the link to grab the book is in the description. But like I said, it is on Amazon. And so, yeah, I hope that this part 2 about boldness as a single mom has encouraged you. So please leave me a comment. Let me know how this has helped you. Subscribe, share it with a friend. Make sure you like it and love it as well. So thanks so much for tuning in. I hope you have a great one. Bye-bye.